So, I was never going to do a Draw My Life video or the high school version because, to be honest, I personally don't think my high school life is nearly as dramatic or interesting as you may think. But because a couple of you guys keep asking, so I'm gonna draw my high school life, or at least what I call drawings. You see, it all started off on September 5th, 2014 in Oakville, Ontario, in a relatively new high school called Garth Webb Secondary. I used to go to school with my older brother, who was at the time a junior while I was a freshman. You see, my whole life has always been about competition with my older brother. He was better than me in everything. He would beat me in challenges, competitions, video games, and of course, he was just naturally gifted at shooting range. Doing well at shooting was an important part in my family. Our lives pretty much revolved around it. And going through elementary school, I hated shooting with rifles. Probably because I was just so terrible at it. On the other hand, my brother was a distinguished marksman amongst all of the instructors. With me on the exact opposite end of that dreadful spectrum, my brother would come first in any rifle competition, and I would be lucky to place third out of 3 people, that is. And one day I specifically remember overhearing him talking to one of the instructors, mentioning that shooting is in his blood, whereas for me, not so much. And I couldn't even get mad because it was just the plain truth. And other than that, I don't really remember the first half of high school all that much. Just that I disliked going to class, and I had this huge crush on a girl. We'll call her Ophelia. I was pretty much in love, or at least what a 14-year-old thinks love is. But we'll come across that later. Somewhere near the end of grade 10 is probably the sad part of the story, and the part that you guys don't know about. I've never really addressed being bullied in my previous videos, but I know some of you watching this can relate. So I got bullied a lot. Racist slurs, falling victim to discrimination, segregation, sometimes not even being allowed to walk through a hallway without being subjugated with some form of violence. And yeah, I remember every single one of my bullies, including the worst of them all. Let's call him George. Like the dick of a governor from the movie Selma, George C. Wallace, that guy. See, George was such a prick that I'd actually make excuses to my mom why I couldn't go to school or why I needed to change schools. George would often say malcontents were disrupting Garth Webb Secondary and it's his responsibility to stop them. Well, I guess I was one of these malcontents. So meanwhile I was hating life at the time and wondering why someone so cruel just could be so popular. It even got to the point where I had some darker thoughts, and I think most, if not all, teenagers go through at some point. However, I did stick it out and actually found a way to end the bullying on my own terms. I realized the reason George was bullying me was to make people laugh. So I figured that if I could make them laugh and become the funny guy, they would stop treating me like I was less than them, and surprisingly, it worked. Every time they made fun of me, I played along and flamed back. Demonstrate and resist, I guess. Martin Luther King kind of inspired me right here. Now, I still didn't have a lot of friends, but the good part was I wasn't being bullied anymore. So with this gain in slight confidence, I decided to give it a shot with Ophelia, the girl I had a crush on. Through the use of Snapchat and some Instagram DMs, I got her number and began to text her frequently. Finally, I mustered the courage to ask her out, but I just got completely rejected. No explanation, no excuse, just a straight up no. And to be honest, that bothered me for a long time. It was devastating as it made me very unconfident in any of my abilities. Halfway through grade 11, I felt like a complete loser. I saw myself as less than everyone. Ophelia had a boyfriend. I was less than him. My old friends found new friends. I was less than them. My brother Elijah, who had just left for university, not only left high school with honors, but placed second in the province for shooting rifles. So yeah, I was less than him too. I was back at square one. With no friends as well, I looked forward to class more than lunch. That way I could sit somewhere and not look like a loner. And then it happened. The most momentous decision of my life. I decided to get my flying license by joining Air Cadets. To me, it just wasn't a simple extracurricular. It literally, or figuratively, changed my life and almost ended it as well. On one of our physical training runs, I passed out and would have died were it not for my friend Hamlet. Cadets disciplined me and told me I could achieve anything I want in life as long as I was willing to put the work in. By the time high school was over, I was lucky enough to earn a pilot's license, placed second in the province in shooting rifles like my brother, and I got accepted into my top choice for university. And on top of all that, I even got a new girlfriend. Thanks to Air Cadets, thanks to my bullies, thanks to my rejections, thanks to not only the good experiences, but the not so good ones as well. And thanks to all of you watching right now. I am who I am today. I still have highs and lows, but ultimately I am happy, and this is my real life high school experience. And no, I don't want you to think that I'm bragging or feel bad for me because I got bullied. I'm telling you this story because I know for a fact that there are a lot of you watching this right now and are going through the same things I went through and I was younger, and I want to let you know that life will get better, only if you choose to make it better. It's alright to be sad and angry now and then. My good friend Hamlet would always ask whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings of arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. Well, truthfully, a few years ago, I'd have said the nobler choice is to end it all. But life has more to offer than just misfortune and troubles. There are some things that may be out of your control, like a bully that picks on you, or a boy or girl that rejects you, or even a sibling that outshines you. But the one thing that you, and only you, control is your perspective and your actions. Being depressed and feeling sorry for yourself is easy. I challenge you to change that today. Make happiness a choice. Choose to be happy. Choose to better your life, because only you can make that decision.